choosing in order for you to develop your best life from your worst case scenario that you emerge from.
Exactly.
And the reason it was you, because you were strong enough to take it, period. Because if you ain't strong enough to take it, it wouldn't be your responsibility. When you go to the old Proverbs of the ancestors, they say that the strongest one must carry the heaviest load. Why they tell us that? Why is that a part of the historical record of the oral tradition? They also say the one who know the way must lead the path. That's not optional. They say he must lead the path. Right. So the person that find their way out from the mental bondage is responsible to try to free as many other his brethren as possible. Each one teach one, we all gonna reach some. Right? So when we start dealing with the cognitive dissonance, the rebellion comes in the form of player hater. Look, and my philosophy is this. It feels better to congratulate than it do to player hate. At least to me it do.
It does, definitely.
I'd rather have Seth Bowman on here and have this conversation and give him his flowers in front of everybody than to be on my channel talking about that nigga ain't. that don't feel good to me.
Yes.
This what we doing feel good to me.
Yeah.
This what feel right. So this is what I'm gonna do. Right? And then lead by example. Right? Rich, bring us all together.
So I got two more questions before we get out of here, y'all. Absolutely amazing show. We're about to hit the 2-hour mark. I'm gonna go a little bit over, but I gotta get out of here after that, family. And I don't want to keep, I don't know what both Rod and Seven got planned tonight.
But you're the one with the new baby, so we on your time.
Yeah. Listen. All right. Listen, you're referencing ancient Egyptian texts coming forth by day, right? We hear about these stories of when you leave this realm, when you die, your heart gets weighed against the feather. It's the judgment scene. Your heart gets weighed against the feather, right? All right, so this is a dream. This is an illusion. This is the Maya. There's many names for this realm that is not real. It's holographic. Many names for it throughout many cultures. This is a dream. Another version of a dream is when we go to sleep at night. Now, when we go to sleep at night, Seven, Rod, Brother Rich, whoever else out there, we may do all types of shit in our dream. When we wake up from that dream, we don't get judged by the karma from that dream. We don't say, oh, I chopped off a nigga's head in a dream. Oh, I got to watch my back in this realm. Or, we don't give a F what happens in that dream because we realize it is for what it is. It's just a dream. So how does our dream when we go to sleep at night, because we know it's just a dream, so all of a sudden these advanced coaches, this is supposed to be a dream, then they tell us there's a judgment scene after the dream. How's it a judgment scene after this dream when there isn't a judgment scene after the dream that we had when we was in the bed at night? Somebody got to explain to me.
The different look, Rich, the different realms got different rules.
Yeah.
The rules in the dream realm is more freedom than you could possibly imagine, but 3D is restricted by rules. Right? We call them the 7 hermetic principles. And these 7 principles tell you also how to perceive or what lens to look through when you viewing the structure of how life is laid out. The only reason we got consequences is we need resistance. Only reason we need resistance because the resistance makes us grow. It's life resistance exercise. It's the same as lifting weights, but you live in your life, you got to be stronger for the next part. So you got to go through this hard part to make you strong enough to carry the weight of the next part. You got to develop into the character you need to be in order to carry the weight you're supposed to carry. And it's all archetypically driven. And you can see the archetype of yourself as you develop in the mythologies and the fairy tales of the world, even in the comic strips, right? When you begin to identify with all of those comics, how do God think? God don't look at the hero in the cartoon and think it ain't him. Whoever the hero is, that's me. I'm Sun Wukong. I'm Hanuman. Right? I'm the one the guys fear. Call me Nimrod. Right? All of this stuff is when you start viewing from different angles, you see more. And the more angles you can see from, the more you can understand the reality. So in the dream realm, you don't have the restrictions of the 3D realm because you in 4D mind matrix called the astrals.
Okay. Okay.
Right? In the astrals, shoot, you can make a snowball turn into a ball of fire and kill a dragon.
Wow.
But if you try to turn a snowball into a ball of fire in 3D, it's gonna melt. Unless it's that new fake snow. I don't know what that stuff be doing. It be resistant fire. I don't know where that's the
and also quiet is kept. A lot of that you be seeing in the dream do still really connect into the subconscious mind. Like when you the dream speaks a language where you have to begin to translate what you're seeing in the dream back into the language that you speak in this reality. Because I find the dream to be like, yo, this. And continue to show you a symbol, but you've already associated that symbol in your mind with a specific thing in this reality. So it's like aligning the two languages, because once you then kind of see where the metaphors be going in at, you see why you chopped off the dude's head and everything. And but the whole thing don't be nothing about like that you really went at him and cut off his head. It could be something like there was something that was on him and then you removed it and now it's not there. So there's always a deeper message in those dreams. I find in some of them dreams be straight what I call bandwidth overlays, where they could just, like keep hearing songs all the time, same song, because look at when you see the wavelengths that we sit on, a lot of that, like we talked about, be radio stations. But I feel like a lot of times, I get what I call like a Wi-Fi dream. You know what I mean? It's like you can tell some of these dreams. See, I feel like also, and that's why I'm loving to, and as I said, I'm gonna drop this one off tomorrow because it's already on wax, but I'm loving to see now how every day, so the ritual that we put ourselves in as humanity was to be on these 7-day weeks. And if you go all over the world, you'll still notice that they're on this system is a system of a certain way, and these numbers come out a certain way. And I felt like that once I had cracked into these numbers, that was the real check back system. It would let you know what matrix you're in, what kind of geometry is being used in that matrix, because there's so many worlds and so many existences, and we can go into different ones, right? That was the journey. Like coming into physicality, I feel like this is wonderful to be able to be an infinite being, and then to come into something finite, you basically done the impossible. You see what I mean? I believe that we're sometimes more afraid of living forever than we are dying, meaning to actually cut off and then start over and then come back in. You can clearly tell some people need to kind of hit that reset button versus living in the continuum. And also it talks about like a lot of these beings, like in that priestcraft, they don't have that. They live outside of time. So they've seen, they've been weathered for thousands and thousands and thousands of years of seeing the experiences going on inside of something that's still relatively turning in a circle and reproducing the same thing over and over again. The number itself, 142857, this is the root to the number. Then it gets all into the netherworld. It gets into the 9. It gets into Osiris. It gets into the potentiality that we've already entered into Aloka. Why people may be expecting to have died, they don't realize how fast and quick the twinkling of an eye of a dimension transfer really is. And then now, that's why I said the goal would be to raise the dimension up just one notch, raise every person up just one notch from where they're at, rather than like try to blow them all the way through the ceiling. And then at the end of the day, if you could just, raise a whole consciousness, it's almost like dislodging a wheel. Then the wheel starts moving and turning again. Then the vibration, like I have been noticing, and they have reported this, some don't believe in it, but that the earth is now even a little more tilted, right? I had this big question when I was looking at the numbers. I was like, so why are we on the 365 versus the 360? And then the narrative that came around that was all about the Julian calendar and all this kind of stuff that they was saying. But that's not why. It's because if you observe the sky, you'll notice it takes 365 and a quarter days for us to make a complete turn around the sun. And that's what we're measuring. And in the matrix, the sun is spraying out the matrix. This is what you see when you open the third eye. Is the sun is really the big player in this because it's holding in the clouds, right? And all of what that is holding even when we laying in the bed sleep and we're like pushing up gas. And that's why I feel like that they didn't used to have these flat roofs even, because even when you're asleep, you could, if you were sleeping in a cone, all of your essence would gather up into that cone and be a part of that cone. And then that's something more focused to travel with. You see what I mean? Like, look at how even obelisks are built, or certain structures where there's clear genuflection going on with the entities that correspond with that ley line, because the vibrational frequencies is honing in on that point, right? But what are you doing? What is all this for? It's for communication. And communication is not just, hey, give me some message about the future or what's going to happen or whatever happened. It's also, let me share in the essence of what you are, and you share in the essence of what I am. So it's almost like a galactic sex, if you may, where you inherit still anything that you come across. You inherit a certain part of their traits, their memory banks, and this kind of thing. And the more that your energy increases, it was getting to a level that when I was looking in people's eyes, you were getting all the data, at least on the front of their head, which was where they was keeping the most precious things, their little trinkets, their children and all that. And this is why anybody who's a master seer can come up and say something about you that nobody knows. And remember that time you fell in the bathroom and broke your leg and you was the only one in that bathroom? Like, how does this person even know that? Because you're still wearing it up here. So when we start going beyond again that, hey, this is, all contained, what it really is managed. That's what a governor is. The body is set up like a pentagram, Lord Governor, where, as Rob was saying, you got rules here. Like there's a sheriff badge. Like you can't have full access to the vehicle like on the astral plane, right? Where you have even some access, right? But then the goal is what? To be completely free, to be completely unified. Down further, if you may, if we want to say a direction, it's more confinement, more restriction, more dominion. Higher, you're getting, you're opening up, you're becoming a part, more of everything, all is self. You see what I mean? And then you get the keys to the wheel, and that, or basically the keys to the car to drive the wheel. What is the wheel? The calendar. 365 and a quarter, you can drive this vehicle if you get them keys, literally, right? But then if not, you're just on these training wheels, you falling off, you bumping over, you staying off in one constellation, all that kind of stuff until, your guide comes. You know what I mean?
Wow. Woo, amazing conversation. I want to real quick before I ask this last question, I want to share 7 Bomar's links. I just put it in the chat. Make sure y'all click on it and check out the brother's AI. He has this AI called Sybil. 7, if you could explain what Sybil is real quick, before we close out the show.
For sure, just real fast. So,
So I want to ask y'all, there's a lot of confusion in this realm down here. People get involved in the spirituality, and it doesn't have to be New Age or esoteric. It could be the church. It could be religion. And everybody says they want to be a good person, right? They try their hardest to be a good person, raise their children to be a good person. And a common thing that people see happening is bad things happening to good people. So we have this phrase, why do good things happen to bad people? People always say that. Why do good things happen to bad people? Now we're taught in this community that reality is a mirror. Reality mirrors who you are. Reality is a mirror. But you know what? The gangster a lot of times lived longer than the boy that was going to school. The boy that was going to school caught the stray gunshot and the gangster stayed alive. The nigga that was in the gang lifestyle. So how is reality a mirror when the gangster stayed alive and the boy that was going to school died? It seems like reality, the mirrors ain't mirroring in this reality. So somebody explain to me, how is reality a mirror when the good boys die and the bad boys stay alive? Talk to me, y'all, to end the show.
When somebody good has suffered something, then there's definitely something deeper happening there. I just believe that even when we talk about good and bad, we're still in that very childish state where we just think that it sums up to that. This is why, you know, we continuously find more and more evidence, like the people who are controlling things and making it hard for people. These people are thriving. Why? I always account this to every realm, just like our brother Rob was saying, has its rules. If you enter into their game, quote unquote, you need to understand how to play. I see a lot of times cats get their paint knocked off because they are practicing the same thing that they're speaking against. Like they be coming in, acting like they're going to enlighten everybody, but then be stepping into the Jesus thing too and believing in that. You see what I mean? And then when something happens, it's like, well, wait a minute, that was the good person, that was the bad person. You got to be like, there's a scripture about them that Moses was following the angel and watching this angel do all this crazy stuff. And he thought the angel was evil. But then in the end, when the angel explained why he did things, he was able to see that he was actually averting other much more greater disasters. So a lot of times, and also just our standard, I never really seen anybody become something great that haven't been through something. And a lot of times good people have that continuous lesson of learning how not to be taken advantage of. These are two totally different things. Like being adept means that if somebody comes and says, hey, let's go and do this, you're really still scanning that to see if that's going to compromise your soul rather than just being this nice and good person like, oh, okay, I believe that that's okay. Right. So there's this side to where we need to grow, where we need to be very serious about what we're doing. And the thing about it is you'll notice that people who you're calling evil or bad people, one thing that they have made their mind up on is being exactly who they are. Sometimes in the world, being who you are takes you further than being who you are not. And a timid person has a tendency to be in some kind of altered state of consciousness or a character versus their original self. And the journey in itself is to get back to the originality. It's basically Amagi, to go back into the womb where there's no debt. But to be able to enter back into that state, you also going to go through a whole process of clearing and moving things. And that's going to feel like turbulence. And if it's not, that means ain't no real lessons being learned. I like what Rod said, like only the strong really are going to make it through this. That's what our ancestors have going on here. It's like they're breeding up in that way. And so, yeah, I mean, but again, if we have this idea that it's all like, you know, airy fairy and loving and all this kind of stuff, like we will maybe forget the chastisement that even our parents gave us that actually made us even the people that we are right now, versus watching another kid who's basically not getting any kind of chastisement and they don't even seem to be growing at all. You know, so that's just me weighing in, you know, on what you're asking.
Excellent, my brother. Right, close it out, my brother.
Everything in life is about cause and effect. Right? When you see the gangbangers shooting at each other, you're looking at war. In war, they have a term called collateral damage. The collateral damage is the civilian who had nothing to do with the conflict, who caught the stray bullet, who put him down. Right? Now, do you get mad at the soldiers for fighting a war, or do you get mad at the bystander for being at the wrong place at the wrong time? Right? So you have to look at all things are converging. How do you shock the consciousness of the people in order for them to demand change? You need what's called an emotionally polarizing event. In the current lifestyle we live in, you are constantly bombarded with emotionally polarizing events to the point now we've become numb to them. Nobody didn't tell us that the good don't suffer. That's not true. Good don't suffer probably more than the bad. The reason why the bad normally don't suffer as much as the good is because they bold enough to step out on who they is and do they dirt in the open, straight up in your face. They don't care about none of the other rules to the game because they're down applying they applied will to deviate from the course that the game was telling them to follow. You don't know nobody that's all good or nobody that's all bad. I done sat at the table across from serial killers and seen cold death in their eyes. And all of the time, they are just happy to be in my presence, make me feel good. Right? So ain't nobody all good, ain't nobody all bad. And every event is to use as a marker to determine what need to be changed in the society. If you want the innocent to stop getting killed, you got to put an end to the war. Because then you don't have collateral damage when you're not at war.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And now you have to figure out who is the warring faction so that you can negotiate the peace between the two.
Exactly.
Right? And it's an ongoing balancing of energies throughout your life. And the better you become, the higher your spiritual rank is until you get to the point where you at the pinnacle, at the top of the pyramid, the all-seeing eye.
Yeah.
Right? Because you become Cyclops, the one-eyed giant. Standing on the shoulder of other giants, you can see further than them all. Right? And this is how the energy doesn't discriminate against who we think is good or bad. The energy is going to execute the program regardless of who's standing in the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what Mama used to say, bullets ain't got no name on them. Until they got a name on them.
Rod, you cold-blooded. You ain't have to say that at the end of the show. You said Mama said bullets ain't got no name. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Bullets ain't got no name until somebody put a name on them.
Listen, gentlemen, I gotta say this. This was an absolutely amazing. You know, you black people stress the amazing show. Oh my God, I loved it. Yo, I loved it. Yo, listen, Rod Hayes, 7 Beaumont, and let me Rod Hayes. What's your Cash App, brother? Because I know you. Somebody asked earlier. I know you. What's your Cash App, brother?
Me?
Yeah.
$sign SikApe, SIKAPE. Mine is the one that was started in 2017. If you get confused, it's the oldest one of them because it got some people that be trying to, do that player hater stuff.
Oh, I know the scam artists out there. Is SikApe what? I'm gonna write it in the chat. SikApe what?
$sign SIKAPE, capital S and the capital A.
And 7, you're in Costa. You don't deal with Cash App, right?
No, I mean they can, really just check out the app. You know what I mean? We're here, and yeah, man. I just want to also say, man, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Like I didn't know what to expect, but greatness from the show.
Yeah.
We're coming in. It's already it's December 19th.